this new edition of the Q&A. One question for you, do I speak too fast? I've just received a comment actually, someone saying, you should speak slower. So I'm going to try and do that, but when I'm very enthusiastic about something, I tend to actually speak quite fast. So here we go. And today we've got two questions. The first one on Facebook from Stefan saying or asking, how do you / sommeliers prepare wine pairings? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't really have the answer because everything is based on taste. So I know the wines I sell, I know a lot of wines, and I know food because I cook too. So that's probably the best answer. If you know both worlds, maybe you can start do wine pairings. And then the straightforward answer is try. You've got to try. And that's easy for me to say because I've got the wines on one hand and again a kitchen upstairs. So I can do that quite easily. But here are a couple rules. One of the first pairings you can do is actually go with the flow, i.e. you've got a wine with some flavors, some aromas, and you're going to try and find the same sort of flavors and aromas in the food. That's probably one difficult thing to do. So the idea is to select a couple flavors, a couple aromas, and try and mimic them. A good example would be, let's take truffle. Truffle goes very well with a Chablis Grand Cru that has aged, because when aging, a Chablis Grand Cru is going to develop some kind of a mushroomy, honey, caramelly kind of feel. So both those things actually work pretty well together. Now, the other way you can do wine pairing is actually the other way is just going separate ways, separate styles, different styles. And a good example would be Roquefort, blue cheese. Quite strong, quite salty, and then you're going to choose something like ratafia, which is ever so sweet to go with. And that works pretty well. Surprising, but pretty well. Sugar on one side, salt on the other. Another good idea would be to go for fish and chips. And fish and chips can be a bit fatty, greasy. So what you need is not something sweet, not something rich. You're actually going to need something that's quite straight, quite tense, quite fresh. And Chablis, without oak, is going to be quite perfect for that. So see what I mean? Two different words. One of the last things you can do is, if you've got an amazing wine, just concentrate on the wine. Don't really bother with food and go for the wine and don't try to do something clever. Go for the wine. If it's a very good wine, it's going to stand on its own. The last thing I want to talk about on wine pairings, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk more about wine pairings in the future, is champagne. And many people, even people who know wine and professionals, are going to say champagne is good with everything. I don't agree. I fully agree that a fresh champagne is going to be perfect for an aperitif because it's fresh, it's going to basically cleanse your mouth, it's going to prepare you for the rest of the day or of the meal. But champagne and dessert, for example, is one of the more difficult pairings because champagne is very wide. You're going to have fresh, you're going to have round, you're going to have sugary, you're going to have rosé, you're going to have different flavors, different styles, different textures. So everything is going to matter. So saying champagne and dessert work well, some champagnes with some desserts are going to work well. If you go for something like chocolate cake and you try to pair it with something very fresh, blanc de blanc, very young, it's going to be a disaster. If you go for something rounder, with a bit more Pinot Noir or Pinot Meunier inside, maybe you've got a chance. So again, don't go for Chablis is good with this and that and those. Which Chablis goes well with what? And which Champagne and which Cahors and which Bordeaux? That's going to be the tricky part in wine pairings. Up for the second question. With Bruno. And that's a question sent on the S.Chablis mailbox. It's ask@schablis.com. The question is, actually it's not a question, it's a comment. I think it's, okay, let's be, you know me. I'm quite frank and straightforward. So I'm going to read the question. I think it's stupid to have people pay for a taste. Let me do that again. I think it's stupid to have people pay for a tasting. That's why I didn't come in your shop. Okay. Well, thank you for the comment, Bruno. Again, it's always interesting when you're owning a business to have comments, good and not so good. First thing, I really hope you still had a nice time in Chablis, just because, you didn't probably read about the boutique and said, I want to go there, and realize that it was indeed not free tastings. First reason is, and I guess that's what you were aiming at, is knowing why I have people pay for tasting. Imagine this group of 10 people coming for a free tasting. That's going to be roughly, I don't know, half a bottle, and I'm not even sure they're going to buy. So that's one reason. Second reason is, I can't really have people just come for an aperitif, and as I serve food, that's where do I put the limit? That's another reason. Another one is that I'm not a maker. So I haven't got a huge domain behind me to pay for everything, even losses. So I've got to make sure that everything I do is going to be it's going to be good, and it's going to pay for itself. Because I don't work for free. That's breaking news. Another thing is that I've got 30, 35, 37, doesn't matter, let's say 35 wines by the glass every day. And served into 2 measures, 3 centiliters, if you want to do a discovery. That's what I call discovery, and that's what most people call a tasting. When I'm not even sure, that's what you're being served for a tasting. And 12 centiliters, which is a normal glass. Well, normal glass, what I call a normal glass. So yeah, 35 wines I have to open all the time. It's going to have a cost if I just, offer that to everyone. And again, if you don't have people pay, what is the limit? Do I stop serving after 1, 2, 3, 4 discoveries, or is it open bar? So that's another thing. That's another reason. Another thing, Bruno, is that there are many wine growers, and very good ones. La Roche is my next door neighbor, and you've got Defay with amazing wines, and Brocard and Bouchard and La Chablisienne, and most of these guys will offer the tasting. Go there. They do their thing. The only downside is that you won't get the service you get here. You can't have a bit of saucisson, you can't have a bit of cheese, you can't put the wines into a certain context, but it's free. And another thing with them is that they only have their wines. So when you go there, chances are you're going to end up with their wines. If you like them, or maybe if you're not sure, but free tasting, most people, yeah, it's free. Well, we're going to get a couple bottles. And that's one thing most of my customers would say, is that the good thing here is you don't feel you have to buy. You've paid for your tasting, of course. A Petit Chablis and a Chablis and a Premier Cru and a Grand Cru, or maybe do the Grand Cru tasting, which is going to be 13, 14 euros. But if you don't want to buy for any reason, because you didn't feel something you didn't find something you like, or you feel you just wanted a glass, then you don't have to buy. And when you go to a wine grower's, usually you end up with 1, 2, 3 bottles, maybe a case of 6, even if you're not really sure, because it was a free tasting. So anyway, that's my other type of customer feedback. So again, feel free to pop by next time, and we can talk more about it. Hopefully, again, you enjoy Chablis and you brought back bottles, which probably is the aim. Till next time. Bye bye.